Eventually you run out of juice, and when you do, you start to say that your friend was a time traveler, you are an alien, and that your friend has superpowers, and such is the story coming from Candace Owens. Let's get into it. Before we get too far into it, I would like to make the pitch for my channel. As a therapist for more than 13 years, I have seen when people lose their minds, and that has been happening more and more in our internet era. If you can get behind a future of faith, fatherhood, and freedom in America, I would love your support in doing that, because my 4 kids deserve the best possible country we can make. If you can get behind that, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into exactly what's happened to Candace Owens and why it seems the internet has largely turned on her. Let's go. The Graham Allen Show has detailed this morning how there have been cease and desist letters that have been sent out by TPUSA, and no matter what you think of them, they have been the greatest activist organization on the right that has ever occurred in my lifetime. And while I certainly don't support everything they do or say, I do think that if we want to win elections in the future, which I'm not sure Candace is concerned with, that I do want them to persist. They've sent out cease and desist letters a lot to Candace cronies or Candace Klingons, people that have been making claims against their organization. You can watch a little bit of what Graham Allen has to say about that.
You're falling for a trap where you make Candace Owens rich, and she's not worried about a cease and desist or getting sued, but you gonna be. Well, now we're here. So it was, and this is 1,000,000% verified now, even by Turning Point themselves. Turning Point USA has now started sending cease and desist letters.
In a post on X, Candace Owens says that she would be willing to go into a consulting role with TPUSA if they were able to sort of take back some of the rancor and the things that she has been saying about them and push that into whatever the hell her consulting would end up looking like. Watch this X post being read by Graham Allen.
Difficult to put into words how terrible of an idea it was for Turning Point USA to send out this cease and desist letter. I'm at a point where I think someone internally absolutely detests Erica and permanently feeds her terrible ideas. It's the only thing that makes sense at this point. I again offer my consulting services to TPUSA for a monthly retainer. We can end this corporate crap show.
Candace Owens seems to be tying the red thread behind her in the board of all of her pursuits for this TPUSA amalgamation of conspiratorial thinking, and it has started to border on things that she sees in dreams, ways that she's perhaps misinterpreting text messages between her and her friend, and the ways that the grief that has come upon her has put her in some difficult positions where cognitive dissonance is running strong with her. Watch this.
Ross, like, you know, like in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, when he's trying to figure out the mailroom board behind him and he's got all of the conspiracy threads behind him. It's what it kind of comes across as. And I was hoping that there would be some kind of, because I see all of these clips go up on Twitter of Candace Owens saying something insane, right?
Yeah.
And I was hoping that if I watched this video that it would make sense and make these threads that she's drawing together come together coherently, right?
Let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Mac? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay? Pepe Sylvia, this name keeps coming up over and over again.
Sometimes I like to watch English conservative pundits because we get a little bit of a picture of what they believe about America from an external perspective, and that helps me in my assessment of like what other countries see as the Trump administration actions, as well as how they see the political pundits in conservative America and what exactly they're looking at. And what they've seen is the thread pulling on the part of Candace Owens in this conspiratorial thinking. And really, folks, at the end of the day, we're being laughed at, or at least Candace Owens and some of her theories are being laughed at. Watch this.
Candace Owens would be right about something. I hope it's this one that she's right about.
You know what? I wouldn't bet on it.
I'm not going to put money on it.
If I were you, I wouldn't bet on it. Yeah, I can do you a great deal on a bet, Carl. If you want to go, you and me.
I'm not putting money on it. I just hope it's this one.
I don't think Charlie Kirk was a time traveler, but okay, all right. Here's what she had to say.
Oh, for God's sake.
Charlie think he was a time traveler. He said, as I showed you in earlier messages, that he was a time traveler and he had to find me. Is that just something people are saying to their homies in text messages? And again, not anything that I would have placed so much emphasis on back when he was saying it, but it came to fruition. The other parts,
the Lotus Eaters make a good point in this case that Candace Owens is largely basing a lot of what she's pushing evidence-wise from emails and other receipts that she's getting from viewers that are sending her in leads or other theories that they might have about the Charlie Kirk assassination and situation. And while that might be a good way to gather some information, when you multiply the amount of people that would have a psychotic, cluster B traits, people that really don't have empathy for others, when you multiply that out over millions of viewers, you actually have quite a large number of people who would have, maladaptive traits and ways that they would try to take advantage of a situation, or maybe even just to see things burn down, because that's what people who lack empathy do. And so when you take all of those points together, you might actually be getting a lot of really bad information, and some of that might be pushed along in her podcast.
Where she puts, "I'm an alien," sad face. And he says, "I think I'm a time traveler. This is my home, but I think you found me and time traveled with me." So what... But if she's taking the first statement literally, right? Surely in this,
He's just riffing with her.
Yeah, he's having a joke. But surely within her own logic, within this new mystery, surely this makes her a time traveler too.
No, it makes her a bloody alien.
In this particular clip, Candace Owens again recounts how Charlie Kirk and her were messaging back and forth, private text messages that she puts on the air, and says that he said he believed he was a time traveler after she said she believed she was an alien. Now, taking out of context, you could certainly make the case that I sometimes feel like I don't belong on this planet either, but that doesn't mean that any of this should necessarily be taken seriously. But Candace, for lack of other ways to entertain her audience, has taken it to next steps, and she even says that in this clip. I hate to say I told you so, but I do think that about 2 months ago I made a video which was perhaps a little ill-timed, or maybe a little bit that I was just being emotional, but I said I really believe that Candace Owens, along with some of the other people on the right, are responding to incentives, that they're really just making a cynical play for clicks, likes, shares, and audience capture, and in that case that they're really just profiteering off of something that was very tragic that happened. And in the process of that profiteering, they've pushed factions in the right wing apart from each other at a time when we could have rallied and really gained a lot of ground on the tragic death of our friend and some of our heroes. Instead, we were pushed in drastically different camps, and then all of this shuffling of the right wing has happened, and conservatism is under question a lot now, even from the inside, because of what these people who are just making a cynical play for their own fortunes are doing. Watch a little bit about what the Lotus Eaters has to say about that.
Yeah, is when you're finding patterns that aren't there, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. She's going through that, and also, again, the audience capture and the audience incentives as well don't give her a reason to get off of this train.
In this clip, Candace Owens starts to apply some of the movie that she most recently watched, which presumably was the X-Men trilogy or series, to Charlie Kirk himself, saying that he was asked to go to a special school, and that perhaps he was even, part of a government system that was recognizing people with superpowers, and that when he used to run down the street lamps would turn off. And so she's implying, just asking questions, but implying that he may have had some energy burst to him. Watch this.
And a lot of weird things used to happen to Charlie. He would go on runs. I think I told you guys this, after sundown, and when he was running, street lights would go out. It was like he was a burst of energy, like he was a lightning bolt or something.
Yeah, and then somebody edited in the flash. I mean, who are you?
And of course, even the right wing in England is seeing the depravity of the conservative movement in America. They're making fun of us, and they say that perhaps some of her theories are just coming out of her weekend viewing. Watch this.
There's always the background normies who are just wandering around, and they get saved by the superheroes. And that's basically what she's selling to her audience here. Is the Marvelization.
Some people have commented that you can basically tell what's movies on her mind depending on what theory she's put out that day.
What did you watch recently?
Yeah, she's like, this time it's The Matrix. This time she watched X-Men this weekend.
Like X-Men.
But one of the...
In conclusion, I hate to say I told you so, and I can say with confidence that I was right at least that Candace Owens was being cynical in her play, because she has put forward so many theories at this point that, in Aristotle's case, two things that are opposite can't be true at once. And so a great many of those theories cannot be true. And so at least at some level, she is inspired to continue to push this narrative because her audience is responding well to it. Her channel's obviously grown, and I've seen a lot of the young ladies on TikTok that are like, Candace has our back, she's really getting down to the bottom of things. So she's galvanized like this whole movement of people who would ordinarily be watching true crime podcasts. And so in conclusion, I hate to say I told you so, but I did tell you so. Candace seems to be doing the cynical thing instead of what would be right, true, and beautiful for the conservative movement. And while she might not care if Republicans ever win elections again, I do think that they are the bulwark against the greatest majority of evil that comes through policy making in our country from the other side. So I do want them to win. And I have 4 kids. She has children. Somebody get in her ear and tell her, like, this stuff does matter. You're pushing us apart. And please, I know it's enriching you personally, but the lawsuits that are coming they might pull an Alex Jones on her and start to take some of that wealth away from her. So please, Candace, let's put an end to this. Let's work on some other theories, do some investigations about the ancient monoliths or other, how did Tenochtitlan and places like that get built in ancient times. That would be really interesting. And then you can ask all the questions you want and it won't divide a movement. If you'd like to continue to try to unite a movement behind the tenets of a better America for our children, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching the whole thing.